So, the one button rotation. Honestly, you've seen the title. It's clickbaity. Is it good for the game? What? Who cares, right? Who cares? It doesn't matter. Realistically, it's fine. Personally, I see the one button rotation as an accessibility feature that allows other people who may be physically or mentally more disabled to be able to enjoy the game more and be able to keep up with their friends potentially if they have like a physical like what if they have no hands, man? What if someone has no hands and they want to play WoW? This kind of lets them do that. It's suboptimal in many situations for many classes. It's better for some classes, worse for others. But honestly, I don't really have a problem with it as an accessibility feature. I do think that one thing they could do, for me at least, is what I'd be interested in, is instead of having this available to you instantly, I think that you should need to go into the accessibility features in the options, like the like colorblind modes and that kind of thing, and just flip a button to have this show up here instead of it being face forwarded towards the player. Personally, here I think would be better to have the assisted mode, where it lights up buttons and kind of helps you figure out how your spec is supposed to be played, instead of the single button assist. And then, if you want the single button assist, you can go into the settings and turn it on, and then it'll show up here. As well as having the one button, or not the one button, but the assisted rotation instead. Just so it's, I think a single level of obfuscation is probably good for a majority of reasons, and it doesn't hinder those players that actually need it for any various form of disability. As far as its power, I think that it's something that Blizzard wants to be relatively decent. It could probably use a bit of drop in power. However, one of the reasons why it is more powerful for, say, a character like a Boomkin is because the class is A, very simple, and B, one thing that happens with casters is when you start casting a spell, that starts your global cooldown. So you can cast, so for casters specifically, it's actually better if you're able to keep uptime and just slamming the button, just because your any character with an instant cast is going to be at an automatic negative 25% deficit. So take like warrior or rogue or any class that does not cast, just pure instant spells. Those classes will always be a bare minimum 25% worse than other classes because of how the GCD penalty works with the one button assistant. However, classes that cast kind of bypass that a little bit, just because the cast, when you start the cast bar, it takes up a percentage of that time. So I think what Blizzard kind of wants this thing to be is like a 25 to maybe 30% damage loss guaranteed, while you can still do content, do heroic raids, I mean, even potentially do mythic raids with your friends, that kind of thing, and still be able to complete, maybe not the highest end content of the game, but like at least most of the way there. And I don't think that's unfair for people who have or wouldn't be able to play the game normally without something like this. So as an accessibility feature, I think it's good. There has been a lot of discourse about, it's too good, I'm out DPSing all of these people. I mean, look, the only spec that I've seen that's like, oh, I'm out DPSing people with it is Boomkin, and that's because the spec is brain dead. Even if you're not dotting the mobs, so if you manually dotted all of the mobs and then hit the one button rotation, so your rotation would be like Moonfire, all the mobs, the one button automatically sunfires everything, or the main target that you have selected, and then it goes into the normal rotation, you're probably doing pretty good. So you'd only realistically kind of need 2 buttons and to be able to mouse through mobs or tab target through mobs to be able to spread Moonfire effectively. But that's the only spec I've really seen that it's actually like pretty good for. I have honestly used it a decent amount myself on multiple classes just because I'm like, hey, man, you know what? I know how to play this, or I know how to play that, or I know how to play Boomkin, but I don't really care. I'm just doing LFR to get the, let's say I'm doing LFR to get my renown up, to get the 18% buff, right? Like I did this week, I throw in the one button, I don't even think about it. I steamroll through LFR, who cares? And then if I'm doing any real content with the character, it comes off. Same thing with other characters I kind of don't care about, I don't play much, that I have level that I might do transmog runs with or something, or maybe I did like, for example, the time walking run that happened. I did the time walking thing with a prop paladin and a vengeance demon hunter, and I just didn't care about knowing how to play those classes, at least in doing time walking. So I put the one button thing on, and I W keyed my way through literally everything, no problem. And that's simply because I am abusing it because it is good enough for stuff like that. But when you actually get into real content, it is simply way worse than what it really should be. I haven't personally brought it into raid. I feel that, at least like where I'm at in mythic raiding, that it would just be a waste of time and a disservice to the people around me. But if I was in an environment where that was fine and accepted, and I was with a group of friends, I mean, honestly, you could clear mythic Gallywix with a one button rotation, as long as you're able to move your character around, go to where you need to go. It's totally fine for that. You can actually use it for that, and you can clear the raid with that. Could you clear the raid if everyone was using it? Your tanks can't really use it effectively. Your healers can't really use it effectively because they need to use defensives and cooldowns and stuff like that better. But, I mean, if you're just a DPS, you know, let's say you're impaired and you've been playing nothing but BM Hunter for the past 4 or 5 years of World of Warcraft, because it has always been simple, always been easy, very, very light on buttons, and you've been able to do enough with it. This actually opens up the ability for you to kind of play and try whatever you want at a somewhat decent level. And I think as a tool, that's honestly really cool. I mean, that's kind of the TLDR of when I talk about the one button rotation. Not only because it's a bit of a hot button kind of topic, or at least whenever Tettles gets mad at it for some reason, everyone gets mad at him about it, but I don't know. I think realistically, one thing that's going to be very weird about it, I think the reason why it has a GCD penalty instead of a damage percentage penalty is because then Blizzard would have to make an entirely new set of spells and spell IDs to make those coefficients worse enough, or that negative percent that they believe. Then they're just balancing an entirely secondary set of spells within the character's talent tree and all that kind of shit, which is probably a lot more painful and a lot more messy and takes a lot more time than just saying, you know what, negative 25% on the GCD and we're good. It's possible that they might need to adjust the GCD penalty based on your class and spec. That might be something worth looking at if they want to make it a little worse for some specs if it's too good, like Boomkin. But realistically, I think it's fine. I don't really think people need to worry too much about it, and I'm very surprised that for something that is basically an accessibility feature, we have seen so much discourse on it, which I understand, because it is obviously kind of like a potential gateway, like a gateway drug kind of thing here, but people who actually wanted to play the game with one button before had ways to do it. They had macros, they had setups, they had, I don't remember what it was called, but I saw like, there's some crazy add-ons and like scripts you could run that would run the one, like if you really wanted to one button, like really wanted to, you could have done it already. And now it just is, this is just a plus for people who maybe don't want to go through all that rigmarole. Maybe they just want to try an alt. Maybe they are impaired to the point where they can't. So honestly, I think it's a good addition. That's all I have to say about it. I've stretched this video out enough. I feel, dude, I'm going to be honest. I said what I wanted to say, and I'm looking over, and I'm at 9:42. And then I'm thinking about, well, I could, and then I think about it, and I'm going, oh, well, if I just talk for nothing for like another 45 seconds, then I'm at like 10-minute mark that you're technically supposed to get for YouTube videos. But now, by getting to that 10-minute mark, which it's showing me I'm just at that 10-minute mark, now getting to that point, now if the video's like 10:10 or 10:15, it starts to look kind of sketchy. So you want to push it out to maybe 11 minutes, or if it's at like 10:45, you're like, it's so... Dude, this whole YouTube thing is so weird. I just want to like yap about stupid shit, and actually, you know what I can talk about instead? It's the end of the video. If you don't, I'm just going to talk about random shit now. Plans going forward, I'm going to do a trinket review for the upcoming season for Warriors. I'm going to talk about the tier sets a little bit. I'm going to talk about the perceived, really lack of change for Warrior, which I'm somewhat disappointed going into this season. So we'll do some videos on those. Expect those soon. I've kind of just been what I've been doing realistically. Here we'll do a little update. What I've been doing is I've kind of been just trying to get 19 resilient. I'm almost at a 19 resil. I just need a floodgate, man. I'm in floodgate. Oh, there's floodgate. I'm gonna apply to it. I am just in floodgate prison. I just need it so bad. But we'll find it one day, and we'll get there. But I guess that's kind of it from me. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. I've stretched this out long enough, and I hope it doesn't look weird, because, like I said, I kind of said what I want to say by about, like, the 9-minute mark. And I'm like, well, you could push it to 10, because the algorithm likes that. And I'm like, man, I'm such a fucking scumbag for doing this shit. Okay, anyway. That's it. Bye-bye.